Beloved Bhagwan, something feels drastically wrong about the way society looks after or fails to look after the elderly. You have spoken of the legalization of euthanasia for those who are so mentally or physically debilitated that they can hardly be said to be living at all. But what can be done for those who are not physically or mentally incapacitated, but are retired from their professions and whose families have grown up? In the past, families often felt obliged to have one or both parents live with them, often with disastrous results. Abuse of the elderly, called granny bashing, is an epidemic problem in America. Alternatively, the elderly are put into homes where they are visited at weekends out of guilt and a sense of duty, or they are entirely neglected. The housing complexes provided for the elderly are often depressing and lonely, like a state of limbo between life and death. It feels so ungracious and inhuman that society uses people and then casts them off into anonymity. Would you please comment?
The problem about the elderly has arisen because man is living longer than he used to live before. All the old skeletons found in India, in China, and in other ancient countries prove one thing, that nobody used to live more than 40 years. Hence the problem of the elderly never arose in those societies. It is because of this fact that the scriptures go on saying that in our country people never became old. It was not something great. It was simply that before old age, they were dead. Death came before old age. Now it comes after. And as a country is more advanced, people are living longer, 90 years, 100 years. In few countries, there are thousands of people who have crossed the boundary line of 150. And in few special places, because of their food, their climate, and their genetics, few people have reached to the age of 180, and they are still young. They are working, just like anybody else. But the problem for the society is the employment is limited. The population growth is tremendous. New people are coming. With such great numbers that we have to vacate places for them. We have to retire people, and as time will pass, we will have to retire people even earlier than we are retiring them now. In few countries, 60 years. In few countries, 55 years. But soon, this will not be possible. People will have to be retired by the age near 45. Because the pressure of the new coming will be so great that if you don't give them opportunity, they will create chaos. But to retire somebody at the age 45 is dangerous. It creates many psychological problems. First, a person needs some work, some creativity to feel that he is needed. This is one of the most psychological essential needs of man, to be needed. The moment you feel you are no more needed, suddenly something starts dying within you, shrinking within you, as if the will to live has lost all its power, energy, hope. Tomorrow is nothing but darkness. And the person who has become useless to the society, that's what retirement is. We make it as beautiful as we can by giving a beautiful pocket watch, celebrating it. It is just a cover-up. The reality is we are throwing the person in the junkyard. You are no more needed. Your work is finished. Now younger people, more educated, better educated, knowing the latest scientific developments are going to replace you. You are out of date. Suddenly, you have become a posthumous person. You will go on living, breathing, eating, but it will be just like an appendix to a book. The book is finished. And nobody reads the appendix. One starts losing dignity, self-respect. One starts feeling out of place everywhere. With the society who is now in power. He is no more connected. A great gap has arisen. These people are going through a tremendous inner turmoil and crisis. To keep them in the family, as it has always been done in the past, is to create a nuisance for the new ones, because these people have nothing to do except criticize. They are ready to get into anger, easily annoyed, irritated, ready to fight. In fact, these are ways to make the society and the family feel that they are alive, that you cannot just ignore them. They are doing it in a wrong way. But whatever they are doing, should be understood with great compassion. They are simply asking a little attention. In their whole life, they have been paid attention in the offices, in the shops, in the government, wherever they were somebody, and now they are nobody, not even to their own children. And the problem becomes more complex because the children have no obligation to be bothered by these old people. They have a small life span of their own. Soon they will be retired. Before retirement, they want to enjoy life. To eat, drink, and be merry. And these old people are sitting there continuously watching what you are doing. They suddenly become very spiritual, moralists, disciplinarians. They start finding loopholes into everybody's life, and nobody likes it. Nobody wants to be interfered. Their independence to live their life in their own way is their birthright. And these old people, to the younger generation, look like idiots. For the simple reason, because the younger generation knows more. It is better educated. Science is progressing in leaps and bounds. Every generation comes with the latest developments, cancelling all old knowledge as false, as mistaken. It was not so in the past. Things have changed so dramatically that unless we take the whole account, we will not be able to solve the problem. In the past, the situation was totally different, diametrically different. There was no gap between the younger and the older generation. The gap is created only in this century. In the past, The young child, by the time he was 6 or 7, will start following his father. If the father was a carpenter, he will start carrying his wood, his instruments. If the father was a woodcutter, he will go with him to the forest. Whatever small help he could do, and whatever small he could learn, because profession came by birth. You were going to do the same thing as your father and your forefathers have been doing for centuries. There was no movability. It was not that a shoemaker's son is going to become a carpenter, or a carpenter's son is going to become a goldsmith. Profession by birth. So from the very beginning, the child knew what he is going to become. He is going to become exactly a replica of his father. The question of any gap does not arise. And the father always knew more, and the child always knew less, because the only way of knowing was experience. A carpenter's son has to learn by doing carpenting. Naturally, the father is much more knowledgeable about the art, the craftsmanship, and the son cannot say that you are out of date. At no time. This is why all the old civilizations respect the old people. Because the old people always knew more than the young people. They expect the same today also. That is not possible. Because they have forgotten the basic root was the older knew more than the younger. Now the situation is just the reverse. The younger know more than the older. Your father may have come out of the university 30 years before. In 30 years, everything has changed. And when you come out of the university, the father cannot expect, should not expect, the same respect that was always given to him in the past. The situation has completely reversed. Now the son knows more. The father has to ask the son his advice, because he is coming fresh from the university, bringing the latest research on any subject. Now, experience is not the only way of learning. We have created schools, colleges, universities, an alternative way of learning, far quicker. The way of experience is slower. Now it depends on your intelligence how quickly you can learn. The libraries are available, the books are available, the teachers are available. Just if you are ready to learn, you can learn so much by the time you come out of the university. That it is natural that at many points you will think, my father is behaving stupidly, that my father is doing things which are out of date. They should not be done. Your father may be a doctor and he is giving medicines which you have come from the university knowing that those medicines are abandoned. They are not to be given, they are dangerous. And he is still prescribing them because he had learned in his time those were the medicines. Such drastic changes have happened. The younger has come for the first time on a higher knowledge level than the older. If he is considerate, he may pay respect to the old age, but it is going to be just formal, not real. In the past, it was a real phenomenon, not formal. He really felt it. Now he cannot feel it. I know by my own experience. My teachers in the university had passed their examinations, their post-graduation, their PhDs 20 years before. In these 20 years, everything has changed. It has not changed for the mediocre, because they never go to the university. They are not bothered what has happened in the world of knowledge. They still go on listening to a man who is talking everything wrong. Because I have been interested in the books from my very childhood, It was a constant problem and conflict in every class. I could not pay respect. I said to my teachers that formally I can pay respect to you, but don't expect it in a realistic way, because what you are saying is no more true. And to give a real respect to you means to accept what you are saying as true. I respect truth. That's why I cannot respect you. For 20 years you have not been in contact with the developing knowledge. Once you passed from the university, you have never read anything. What has happened to your subject? And the rate of research in all the subjects is such that now big books particularly in physics, in chemistry, in biochemistry, are not written. Because by the time you will write a big book of 1,000 pages, most of it would have been proved wrong. So only periodicals, papers are read, and that too you have to be very quick, because you are not alone working on the subject. Albert Einstein was asked once, if you had not discovered theory of relativity, do you think it would have been discovered ever? He said, within 3 weeks, at the most. It was very shocking, because people thought that you need an Albert Einstein. He said, that is true, but there are many Albert Einstein around the world who are working on the same lines. It is only a question who comes first. It is a race. And it was found that another German physicist has already found everything about theory of relativity, but he was late in publishing his paper. Otherwise, Albert Einstein would not have been the first man to bring light to the whole subject. This man has discovered everything. Just writing his paper, he was a little lazy. But he was earlier than Albert Einstein. People are searching on small details, not on big subjects, because big subjects take longer time. People are taking very small pieces of subjects so that they can finish quickly before anybody else finishes it. And then they can produce the paper to the university, whoever produces the paper. Now there are thousands of universities around the world working on the same subjects, thousands of scholars. And I have found my teachers, without exception, they were 20, 30 years late, backward. And because I said it so, it became a constant trouble. Colleges, universities will not accept me, will not give me admission. They will not show the reasons. Somehow I had to convince a principal. I still remember the scene. This principal was a little crazy. He was a devotee of Mother Goddess Kali of Calcutta. And every morning from 4 o'clock, he will start, and he was a very big man. He used to be a wrestler in his youth. And the rumor was that in the early days, the famous wrestler Gama was defeated by him. But by that time, Gama was not famous. And he had a body of a great wrestler. He was black, looked dangerous, and from 4 o'clock the whole neighborhood was tortured by him. Jai Kali. And he had a real loud voice. No loudspeakers needed. When I was refused from few places, I thought perhaps this crazy person can be persuaded. So I went early in the morning, 5 o'clock. He was in his temple, in his beautiful bungalow. He had a small temple, and the whole area was sounding, resounding, Jai Kali. Victory to Kali. I went into the temple, he was alone. I also started shouting, victory to Kali. He looked at me. He said, you are a believer in Kali? I said, anybody who has any intelligence has to be a believer in Kali. And you are the greatest man I have come across. He said, everybody thinks I am crazy. I said, they are all crazy. He invited me for the breakfast. And he said, what you are doing? I said, I am studying in a certain college. Although I had been expelled from that college, he said, you leave all those colleges. You come to my college. I will give you all the scholarships, every kind of help, because you are the first person who has recognized me. That way I had to get the entry into his college. But once I was in, he was in trouble. Professors started coming. He called me, he said, this is not good. It seems you bluffed me. I said, this is true. I bluffed you because there was no other way. He said, then you will have to do one thing. You should not come to the college at all. Just come to give the examination. I said, what about my percentage of my being present in the lectures? He said, I will take care of it. You will get 90% percentage, but don't come to the college because every professor is complaining. It is not a question of one professor. You are torturing everybody. Because they say that now we cannot compete with this young man. He has read the latest, and we can see that we are 20 years back, and we cannot manage to read all that has happened in 20 years. And we have to take care of the children and the wife and the whole family. And he makes us so embarrassed by bringing facts which we know that he is saying right. But we cannot tolerate this constant embarrassment. And because of him, other students are losing any respect. They are all thinking these people know nothing. He has created the atmosphere in the college that all these professors are idiots. I said, it is true. You have got first-class idiots. He said, listen, I am giving you all facilities for not coming to the college. I said, that's a perfectly good arrangement. But can I once in a while come to your temple just to participate in the worship? He said, "No, there is no need to bluff me. You bluffed me once, that's enough." I was also surprised. He said that nobody in my whole life said that you are a great man. Only this young man has recognized my spirituality. I did not go for 2 years to the college. But I was going to the university library, getting ready for my post-graduation, to torture the postgraduate professors. Today, every young person coming from the university is ahead of the older generation. His life, his style has changed. His thinking about the world has changed. His values have changed. And the old people are constantly poking their nose. So the only way that has been found is put these old people in houses for the old. Out of duty, out of guilt, the children go to meet their parents there, but not for love, not for joy, and most often they are neglected. Nobody ever goes there. Their life is certainly very miserable. They have lost their jobs, with the job their respect, with the job their worth, with the job that they are somebody, their ego is punctured. They have lost their family. Their children are grown up and they don't want to live with them. Because they would like to listen them the music of Mozart, and the children are interested in the Beatles. And the old people think there's Beatles. This is not music. This is simply madness. This is not dance. The gap is so big that it is unbridgeable. The solution is sad. The children are gone, the family is gone, These old houses look sad. They seem to be waiting rooms for graveyard. Dull, depressed, dark. Certainly there is a great problem, and this problem is going to become bigger every day. My suggestion is, first, the moment they are retired, and their families send them to the houses for the old, their marriages should be also cancelled. Because love can bring a new spring again. It doesn't matter whether you are 50 or 60. They have produced children, they have lived together. Now it is time they are departing from the family, they have departing from the job. They should depart from the marriage also. Because their sadness has much to do with husband and wife left alone. No friends, no children, no job, and they are tired of each other. And they don't seem to take any interest in each other. It should be optional. If some couple wants to live together, that is up to them. But if couples want to separate, they should be respectfully separated. So they can start their lives anew, and for the first time without worries. They have their pensions. Money is no more a problem. They can find new partners. New lovers. And it is psychologically established that even if an old man falls in love with a woman, his life is lengthened at least by 10 years. Because love gives juice to your roots. You again become young. you again start looking at flowers, thinking of poetry, thinking of painting, writing of love letters. So the first thing is that love should be given another chance. And what is the harm if you can have two springs in your life? And now you are more experienced, you will not reproduce. Children again, that phase is over. You have tortured yourself enough. You will take every care that children are not produced. And it is a strange phenomenon. The moment somebody falls in love, many things change. His face has a different glow. His eyes become more shiny. He smiles more. He may go and dye his hairs. Life is taking a new beginning. Have a beautiful pair of teeth. He has to become a little young. To me, love is a kind of chemistry. It is chemistry. Your body will start functioning in a different way. He will start thinking, if he is a man, to go for morning walks, jogging, swimming, to keep his body fit. Because now there is a woman for himself. He was not caring about his body, but the woman. And the woman is going to care about her body at least 20 times more. And it will be a beautiful place, because then those old houses, these people will paint their rooms in lighter colors. Not dark and sad, gloomy. Will bring flowers, will start gardening, may go for a world tour. may go for a long trip in a boat, life can be joy. They can meditate, they can study, much that they always wanted to do and had no time to do. Now they have time, they have money, they can paint, they can sculpt. My own idea is that special classes in every university should be opened for these old people who want to learn painting, who want to learn sculpture, who want to learn music, who want to learn dancing. They should enter into the universities again, a second phase of education. I have always been of the idea that the first phase of education was the preparation for life. Now the second phase of education should be the preparation for death. You don't have any preparation for death, no education for death. This is a lopsided situation. Half the life a person has lived, and you trained him, educated him. Now the other half should not be left barren like a desert. He begins again the second part of education. He meditates, he learns creative arts, he dances, he writes poetry, novels, whatever he wanted to do in life. Now life has respectfully given him the time to do everything that was just a desire in his mind, just a dream. Now it can be turned into a reality. And he should be freed from all old bondages, marriage, or any kind of bondages. So he can start new adventures in every direction. And we can make the second part so beautiful that the people in the first part will start feeling jealous and will start feeling how long it will take for me to be retired. Because those old guys are really enjoying it. We are working, earning, they are simply relaxing, taking sun baths, on different beaches around the world with different women. The old people have to defeat the young. There is no need to be defeated. Right now they have taken a very defeatist attitude. They should take it as a challenge that now we will prove that old age is not a misery, that it can become a tremendously beautiful experience. In fact, it has to be more beautiful than the first phase. Because the first phase was only a preparation for the second. And the second is the preparation for the eternal.
Beloved Bhagwan, when you talk about the art of something and the science of something else, what is the essential difference? Is it that an art can only be approached and appreciated intuitively, subjectively, while a science is approached and appreciated with the help of the mind and objectively?
The scientific approach and the approach of art certainly have that difference. Art is intuitive. More of the heart, more subjective, more intimate, science is objective, not intimate at all, nothing to do with your intuition or your feeling. Nothing to do with your heart. In fact, nothing to do with you at all. If you heat the water, it will evaporate at 100 degrees. Who heats the water does not matter. Whether it is a man or a woman, whether it is a boy or an old man, whether a Tibetan Lama or a Catholic monk, water simply follows an objective rule. It is not concerned with the person who is boiling it. There may not be any person at all. It can be boiled just by pressing a button. the machine can do. So that is certainly one of the differences. Art is a totally different matter. First, it is not objective. It is something that is born within you. Then you project it on something outside. It may be a painting, Vincent van Gogh painted for 1 year continuously a single painting, rejected hundreds of times. He was painting the sun. And every day he will reject. And his friends were tired. They said, nobody has painted the sun so much, and you have painted so beautifully so many paintings, and you go on rejecting. I am bringing him in because I want to tell you that he has a certain inner criterion. He has a certain inner painting of the sun, and it is not being projected exactly as he has in him. That is the rejection. Otherwise, there is no question. That is the difference between the painting and photograph. A photograph is part of science. A painting is not. One very rich woman asked Picasso that how much he will take to make a portrait of her. He said, what do you want, a photograph or a painting? She said, I don't understand the difference. What do you mean? He said, a photograph is a simple thing. You will be sitting there and I will draw the lines and the drawing of your face, of your body on the canvas. I will be simply functioning like a camera. It will be a photograph, although everybody will say it is a painting. But if you want a painting, then you have to be ready. Because in the painting, I will not be the camera. In the painting, I will be subjectively involved. So what will be the outcome will not be just your picture. It will be picture processed through my subjectivity. It may not even look similar to you. The woman said, I would like a painting because photographs can be done by cameras very easily and cheaply. And you are asking $1 million. So let it be a painting. It was a painting, and then the woman looked at it and could not believe what it is. She said, just one thing I want to ask. Just tell me, where is my nose? Picasso said, I don't know anything. Do you ever ask a camera? You just look at the picture and find out. I have processed you through my subjectivity, and this is what happens. I will try to find out where your nose has gone, where other things are. They must be somewhere. But I refuse to sell it. The woman was shocked. She said, why? He said, you cannot appreciate a painting. Your question was so stupid. And I have worked so hardly on your painting. I have put my whole soul in it. And you are worried about your nose. I am not going to sell it. You need only a photograph which you can recognize. A photograph is prose. A painting is poetry. It becomes mysterious because it passes through man's innermost feelings, it takes a new birth. It is not reproduction. Another incident, a man purchased a Picasso painting, paid $1 million. But when you pay $1 million, you want to be certain that it is an authentic Picasso. One critic said that don't be worried, it is an authentic Picasso because I was staying with him when he painted this. I am a witness. You can purchase it without any fear. He purchased it, but he said, you will have to come with me to Picasso. because I want to hear it from Picasso that it is an original, authentic. He said there is no problem. They went. The critic was a friend of Picasso, and he said, you must be remembering, I was staying with you when you had this painting done. He said, I remember perfectly well, but this is not authentic. This is not original. I have done it. The critic said, are you going mad? You say on one hand you have done it, and on the other hand that it is not authentic, not original. What do you mean? Picasso said, I have painted the same painting before, and it is hanging in a certain museum in Europe. You can go and see. That was authentic. That was original. This painting, I was not getting any new idea. And there was a customer who wanted a painting. So I simply copied from my own painting, but it is a copy. It does not matter who copies it. Whether Picasso copies it or somebody else. But it is a copy, it is not authentic. It is not original. I am not involved in it at all. It is not part of my subjectivity. The first painting is, they are exactly alike. You cannot find any difference. But I make the difference, and the difference is significant. The scientific approach is about objects which are common. Because art is personal, subjective, it can never be common. You may not agree on one painting that it is beautiful. Two persons may not agree at all. To somebody it may be ugly. To somebody it may be beautiful. It is a personal phenomenon. But there are more fundamental differences that I was talking about. When I say the science of hypnosis, is not the art of hypnosis. My meaning was that the art is always invented. It has no reality in existence. It is invented by the artist. You can find statues of horses with flying wings. Nowhere in reality there are horses with flying wings. There are wings and there are horses. You can combine them. That is your invention, not a discovery. Art is invention, science is discovery. Science only discovers that which is already there, and art creates. Hence, science is never creative. It only finds out whatever is the case. Art creates out of nothing. Hypnosis is not an art. It is a science. You can discover the principles. They are exactly the same anywhere on the earth, in any age, at any time, in any culture, in any society. Those principles are to be discovered. They are already there, only you have to discover them. A painting of Picasso or a poetry of Rabindranath or a musical composition of Yehudi Menuhin are not there. It is Yehudi Menuhin who creates it. It is Rabindranath who composes it. Because it is subjective, personal, and invented, you can have different opinions about art, but you cannot have different opinions about science. Opinions don't matter. Science is factual. Art is fictional. Art has beauty. and tremendous genius is needed to create it. The artist is almost like a god creating the world. If the story is true that God created the world, then it is an art. Then God is an artist, not a scientist. Because to be a scientist, he will have to discover the world. The world was already there, and then he discovers it. I want hypnosis to be understood as a science and not as an art. For this basic reason, discovery and invention.
Beloved Book 1, this is an excerpt from a conversation with Gurdjieff. These are his words. With ordinary love goes hate. I love this, I hate that. Today I love you. Next week, or next hour, or next minute, I hate you. He who can really love can be. He who can be can do. He who can do is. To know about real love, one must forget all about love and must look for direction. As we are, we cannot love. We love something because something in ourselves combines with another's emanations. We allow ourselves to be influenced. We project our feelings upon others. Anger begets anger. We receive what we give. Everything attracts or repels. There is the love of sex, which is ordinarily known as love between man and woman. When sex disappears, a man and a woman no longer love each other. There is love of feeling, which evokes the opposite and makes people suffer. Later, we will talk about conscious love. Beloved Book 1, can you please talk about conscious love, both in a man-woman relationship and in the master-disciple relationship?
Question is not only about conscious love. The basic thing is consciousness. A conscious person does everything consciously. love, or painting, or dancing, or making a cup of tea. It does not matter what. Consciousness prevails over all your actions. Just as unconsciousness prevails over all your actions. You love unconsciously. You hate unconsciously. You do everything unconsciously. So the whole problem has to be reduced in these two words, consciousness and unconsciousness. Love can be a good example. People say they love. But they don't know what they are saying. They don't know what they mean. Because they love a car, they love a woman, they love a certain brand of cigarette, they love the football match, it is difficult to figure out what they mean by love. Unconscious love is simply a magnetic pull towards something. Irresistible, but you are not going towards the object of love. You are being pulled. You are fast asleep. In your whole life, you are behaving like a somnambulist. There are many people who wake up in the night without waking up. They get up, not wake up. And they will do things. And they will go to sleep. And in the morning they will not remember what they have done. Many people who think that their houses are haunted by ghosts are nothing but somebody is a somnambulist in the house who does things in his sleep, puts fire to things, throws things away, and goes to his bed and sleeps well, and in the morning he is as puzzled as everybody else. Not that he is deceiving anybody. Just he has no remembrance. Your life, which 1 minute is full of love, another minute the whole love disappears. Not only that, it can turn into hate. You were ready to die for the person, and the next moment you can kill the person. According to Gurdjieff and according to those who have awakened, the whole humanity is asleep. Sleepwalkers. Things are happening, but you are not the doers. Because you are not conscious enough to do something. You fall in love, you cannot say that it is a conscious decision on your part. Perhaps the woman's hair is just like your mother's hair. Every child, male child, loves his mother. That is his first love object. The baby girl loves her father. That is her first love object. And slowly, slowly, the father and mother become imprints. The mother becomes imprinted into the boy. The father becomes imprinted into the girl. And when the boy falls in love with a woman, his unconscious mind signals him, here goes your mother. You don't hear it, and nobody can be exactly like your mother. So only there can be some similarity. The way the woman walks, the face of the woman, the eyes of the woman, the way she talks, anything triggers in you the old figure waiting in your unconscious, deep in the well inside you. And the same happens to the girl. The way the man walks, just the sound of his boots may remind her of the father. Any small thing can trigger, and suddenly you feel a great love arising in you. But because it is only fragmentary, it cannot be very lasting. It can be lasting if you don't meet ever. Then you will never come to know about other fragments. So the most successful lovers in the world are those who never meet. They make the most romantic, beautiful stories. No quarrel, no nagging, no fighting. And they never come to find out that this is not the woman made for me, and I am not the man made for this woman. They never come so close to know this. But unfortunately, most lovers get married. That is the most unfortunate accident in life. That destroys the whole beauty. Otherwise, they would have been Laila Majnu, Siri Faryad, Soni Mahiwal, great lovers of history. But all those great lovers never met, never lived in a one-room apartment in Bombay. Once two persons are together, then other fragments of their life are bound to surface. You have to become acquainted with the whole woman you have got. The woman has to become acquainted with the whole man she has got. And there is the trouble. Because then slowly you find the fragment that you love becomes very small in comparison to the fragments you hate. Now just the color of the hair does not help. Not the face, not the eyes, nor the nose, nothing helps. Women have been asking me in the West, because their love life is not going well. Nobody's love life is going well. It simply does not happen. So those poor women were asking, should they get their nose fixed by a plastic surgeon, because her husband is continuously talking about her nose that it looks Jewish. And he is so much against Jews that the moment he sees the nose, then all love disappears. The poor woman is ready to fix the nose. I told, don't unnecessarily torture the nose. He will find something else. This is just an excuse. Right now, he may become accustomed of this nose, but if you fix it, then every time he will see you, he will see this woman has a fixed nose, is really a Jew. Behind the nose, it will be very difficult for him to forget it, and the money is going from his pocket for fixing your nose. You just leave it as it is. In fact, a wrong concept for centuries have been prevalent that lovers should like each other in every possible way. That is absurd. Lovers should make it clear that these are the things I don't like. Both should make it clear that these are the things I don't like. And these are the things I love. And there is no need every day to quarrel about it, because that quarrel is not going to change anything. They have to learn to accept that which they don't like. A kind of coexistence, a tolerance. This is for the lovers who are not awake. A conscious love is a totally different thing. It has nothing to do with love as such. It has something to do with meditation, which makes you conscious. And as you become more and more conscious, you become aware of many things. One, that it is not the object of love that is important. It is your loving quality, your lovingness, that is important. Because you are so full of love, you would like to share it. And the sharing has to be unconditional. You cannot say that I will not share if your nose is Jewish. What sharing has to do with nose? Conscious love changes the whole situation. Unconscious love is centered on the object of love, and conscious love is centered in oneself. It is your lovingness. Unconscious love is always addressed to one person. Hence, there is always jealousy. Because the other person also knows that unconscious love is always centered on one person. It cannot be shared. If you start loving somebody else, that means you have stopped loving the first person. That's the jealousy. The continuous fear that your lover may start loving somebody else. As if love is a quantity. Conscious love is a quality, not quantity. It is more like friendliness. Deeper, higher, with more fragrance, but similar to friendliness. You can be friendly to many people. There is no question of jealousy. It does not matter that you are friendly to 5 persons, or 10 persons, or 10,000 persons. Nobody will feel deprived because you love so many people. His share is going to be less and less. On the contrary, the more people you are able to love, your quality of love becomes mountainous. So whomever you love gets more love if your love is shared by many people. It dies if it is narrowed. It becomes more livelier if it is spread on a vast area. Bigger the area, the deeper are its roots. Consciousness gives everything a transformation. Your love is no more addressed to anybody in particular. It does not mean that you stop loving. It simply means you become love. You are love. Your very being is love. Your breathing is love. Your heart beats are love. Awake you are love. Asleep you are love. And the same about everything else. Your understanding, your intelligence, everything goes through the same chain. You become the center of the whole existence, the center of the cyclone. And everything radiates from you and reaches to anybody who is able to receive it. It is not a question of loving someone for certain reasons. It is simply love out of abundance. You have so much that you have to share it. You have to radiate it. And whoever receives it, you are grateful to the person. Conscious love makes you a doer, a being. A soul. Unconscious love, you are just an emptiness. Dark and dismal. Hungry and thirsty. Unconscious love, you are a beggar. You are begging for love because love is nourishment. And this is hilarious. You are begging for love. The other person whom you are in love also is begging for love. Two beggars holding their begging bowls before each other. Both begging bowls are empty. Conscious love makes you an emperor. You don't beg. You simply give. And you give because you now see that the more you give, more you have. So whoever accepts your love, you are grateful to the person. The whole earth can become full of love, an ocean of love, but only with conscious people. With unconscious people, it is just a place disgusting, nauseating, everybody pretending to be loving and nobody is loving. Everybody is trying to exploit the other, and the same the other is doing to him. And because both are empty, sooner or later they are going to start quarreling that you deceived me, that you cheated me, that you betrayed me, that you are not the woman you pretended, that you are not the man you were showing yourself to be. But with beggars, this is going to be a problem. I have heard about a beggar who used to sit by the side of a bridge. One day he asked that give something to a blind, helpless old man. So they gave him 1 rupee. He looked at the rupee and he said, "This is not real. This is false." They said, "You are blind." He said, "I am not blind. The man who sits here usually is blind. Today he has gone to see a film. He is my friend. I am just sitting in his place." But everybody in this whole world, in unconsciousness, is a beggar. Trying in every possible way to snatch some love, some attention, some sympathy. Because love is a necessary nourishment. Without love you cannot live. Just as food is necessary for the body, love is necessary for the soul. And everybody is suffering without love, because without love your souls are dying. But what we are doing is not right. The right way is to bring consciousness to yourself, and from consciousness there will be many revolutions in many dimensions. Love will be one of the most important dimensions. And you will find the golden key of how to get love from the whole existence. The secret is whatever you have, give it, share it. Once the universe knows that you have become a sharer, then all the sources of the universe become available to you. They are inexhaustible. Okay.
बुद्ध में मिट कर इस निर्धन ने जीवन का धन पाया, जीवन का धन पाया। जहाँ बैठे वहाँ हरि कथा, जो भी कहे तो भी करुणा कारण सुनो संतो, रजनीश धर्यो शरीर। दर्द के झरने में मेरे मालिक मलमल रोज नहाऊं, पास ही बगिया है गीतों की, फूलों को चुन लाऊं। दर्द के झरने में मेरे मालिक मलमल रोज नहाऊं, पास ही बगिया है गीतों की, फूलों को चुन लाऊं, फूलों को चुन लाऊं। जहाँ बैठे वहाँ हरि कथा, जो भी कहे तो भी करुणा कारण सुनो संतो, रजनीश धर्यो शरीर। प्यारे ताजे फूल चरण में तेरे रोज चढ़ाऊं, धन्य भाग है।